watching the your live version of, I guess it was the first time you'd recorded Dusty Miller.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Has he been on the show yet?
no, he hasn't.
Oh, that's a
Um,
must. He's a trip, dude. Him and you'd have to get like him and Ryan on both. Ryan Montalvo is their bass player.
okay.
He's phenomenal. He's absolutely hilarious. He's also a stand-up comedian or former stand-up comedian. I don't know if he still does it, but
Got a
really funny
you
guy.
get a flavor of that when you watch the live not the I guess it wasn't live, but the second time you had him on, you had the full band on.
Oh yeah, the first one was just him, and then I think it was episode 4, and then he came back for episode 7
Okay.
with the full band, and then uh, Peter Dominguez, who's their lead guitarist,
Hmm.
brought in a dobro, which is like one of the coolest instruments ever. It's that Delta blues, that like real
Oh yeah.
twangy. I didn't know the instrument that was that like made that sound. And so I was just like on cloud 9 the entire show. That was
Yeah,
such a
man.
fun show.
That's
And then
that's a fun instrument.
they just came back in. They had an album release for Wild Child, and was it yeah, Wild Child was their EP. It's their new single. And then they have another one called Coral Snake Boots, which is a great song. But yeah, those guys are a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun.
So on the live recording, man, you had the save of a lifetime there.
Hmm?
On the live recording, something happened. You lost one of your on your mixer. You had lost some kind of. I think you said his effects. Maybe I'm not sure what it was.
Effects pedal. We've had a couple goofy moments. That's just the thing with live shows, man. You just kind of it's same thing in filmmaking. Is that I think it was George Lucas that said it. You make a movie 3 times. It's like once when you write it, again when you film it, and then for a third time in the editing room.
Makes
It's
sense.
like what you want, then what you're able to get, and then you get in the editing room and you're like, well, we didn't get. So you have to kind of redo it. It's the same thing. It's like you have an idea of what you want the show to be, and then you try to do it, and then something goes off the rails. Or like I remember when Sydney came on for the first she was Sydney Ann Conklin, also another artist you have to have on here. She's
Yeah,
incredible.
Conklin. Okay.
She's so good, and like one of the sweetest people ever, and super freaking talented. She had her first song, her quarter inch fell out of the guitar before we went live. And so I was able to get it in the microphone still. So I just kind of let it ride. But I
What a
was like,
bro.
I was like,
What a bro.
I'll just turn up the ambient mic in the room, and hopefully I can capture that. But yeah, she's amazing. You just kind of have to do it live, man. It's the old Billy Riley thing, right? You just do it live.
I like it, man. Well, again, we've kind of cut into mid conversation here, but it's all right. I got feedback, and people like that. It's not as formal cutting into mid conversation.
Make conversations fun, man. You don't have to be like, this is this show.
Welcome to Austin Music People.
I love what you're doing, man. This is really cool. I don't have the ability to like really explore like the background for a lot of folks to the extent that I would like to.
Yeah.
It's like really fun to meet people and like get a chance to like talk to them and know them. And so the fact that you have like a platform that's just like, who is this person is pretty dope. I would love
Thank you,
to
man.
support this in any way.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Your episode number 7, and I thought I would be a once a month type thing, and I have guests booked out through the month of July and August, just because in 5 or 6 short months I've been doing this, it's people really like the idea of artists get a lot of attention, and rightly so. But there's a lot of people outside of the artists that have created this scene. Individuals like yourself, guys like John Fantana, and venue owners, right? That you never see them, but they are just as legendary as any player up on that stage. And so, I'm gonna turn myself down a little bit, a little hot. But so that was the whole intention with starting this, and it's been fun so far. So thanks for the kind words, man. So Reid, where are you from, man?
I am from a very small town called Pottstown, Pennsylvania. So outside of Philly, about an hour west of, or right, yeah, hour west, because you can't go an hour east to be the ocean. But yeah, I grew up outside of Philadelphia. It was a very small town, super blue collar. It was great from a childhood perspective. We had a little U-shaped ranch house.
Nice.
It was pretty chill. It was
Big family.
No, I only have, one brother, my older brother, Cole, who I love immensely. He's been, like, one of the biggest supporters of everything that I do.
Nice.
That was pretty he's an amazing dude. He actually is the reason, I've told this story before and he gets embarrassed, but he's the reason that, Thank You 5 happened, the film that I did.
Yeah.
I was self-funded, and so when you self-fund things, at that scale, you very quickly get over your skis, and you're just like you have a running tally of money that's just emptying your bank account,
Yeah.
and I actually overdrew my bank account by a couple $1,000s, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And so I owed that plus, I also had to buy all the audio gear for the film, so we
Mm.
couldn't hire an audio guy. And so all the audio guys were like, "Oh, my day rate's like $100, but if you want to use my gear, there's a per rental fee for each
Yeah.
piece of equipment." And so every audio guy that we talked to was like 12,000, 16,000, 22,000, and it's like I can buy the gear and just teach myself how to like just shittily use it.
Mhm.
That's even a word, but it's like I could just figure it out myself. And so I ended up running sound on the film, and myself and my buddy Mike. I did the film with Mike Barnard, who's still back in Chicago. But had it not been for me having to like put my tail between my legs and go back to my brother and be like, "Hey, man, like I need like some serious help with
Yeah.
this thing isn't going to happen." So he gave me a rather sizable check to help get the film up and running. And when we did the premiere in Chicago at the Landmark Cinema in Lincoln Park, he was in the audience, and I made sure that I like did a big speech, and I was like, "Can you guys just look at my brother? He's right there. He's that guy who's trying to cover his face now." And it's like
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
embarrassed. He's like, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" And I just he's the best, man. Like I'm very fortunate. The family you're born into is a complete lottery ticket. Like you don't have any control over whatever this experience of
Amen.
consciousness is.
Yep.
And my parents, we lost my mother back in 2018 to cancer, as I like to call it, medical malpractice. But outside of that, it's been a pretty great ride with my family. They're super supportive. My dad's amazing. He was a great role model. My brother's like the shit. I fucking love that guy more than anything. Always super supportive and has always been like a role model for me growing up. And actually, my son is named after my brother. So
Awesome.
it's a combination between my wife Emily. Her brother's name is Cody. My brother's name's Cole. So we
Cool.
did Colton as a kind of homage to both of them, but I really wanted something that was close to Coleman Estreicher, which is my brother's name. So he's actually named after him, and then he goes by his middle name, which is Jude, which is
No.
named after my mother.
That,
So
like I said, when your son was born, he's already way cooler than all of us with that name, man. Yeah, that's
Colton Jude
awesome, man.
Estreicher. It's a bit of a cowboy name, but I dig it, man. My mother was incredible. She was really something, man. She was like just one of the most selfless people I've ever met. And again, it's like you just don't have any control over that. It's
Yep.
such a bizarre thing. And so, looking at all the other struggles that I had in life, like growing up, and just like trying to figure out the world and who you are and make sense of anything, I always had a really solid foundation to come back to, and I'm so incredibly thankful and appreciative for that. And I always take time. I try to take time, like legitimately every day, just to like make a mental note about that, because it's like you're the conscious that you can experience in this life. You could be born into any situation, man. Like you could find yourself in like, digging cobalt out of the ground in the, Republic of Congo with
Yeah.
your hands as a quote unquote artisanal miner for some gazillionaire in Silicon Valley. So it's been a wild journey, man, to say the least. But I'm very thankful. My family's awesome. My father actually lives in Texas. He's up in Justin.
Mm.
He's gonna be down here this Thursday for the first run of new shows, and also to meet our little guy.
Where's Justin, Texas?
Justin, Texas is an hour and like 20 minutes west of Dallas.
Huh.
So
Okay.
it's kind of in the middle of
Yeah.
nowhere. It's getting developed. I think like Amazon or like some giant mega corp
Probably Amazon.
is putting, I think, a distribution center up there. So they're putting in like, I think they're doing like a 30,000 home build or something. So
Yep.
he's now like, all right, I don't want to live in this like
Yeah.
packed place. I want to move out. So he actually might be going to Bastrop, which I would love.
Oh yeah. Fully support that. That's
Yeah.
where my in-laws are. I mean, it's a 30-minute phone call away. You're there, you're close to them. So yeah.
Yeah,
No,
dude.
it's
I
great.
dig it. I dig it.
So did a little stint in the military.
Yeah, military was wild. I have a very my life has been a bit of chaos. I moved I got involved in the entertainment thing when I was young, like very young. I wanted to be a comedian and like idolize Jim Carrey back in the day. Hopefully nothing comes out weird about him with all this like Epstein shit.
Yeah,
That
but
might not age well, but
he, top 5, man.
he's so talented. I used to imitate him all the time. And just like I mean, I remember like I remember like seeing like comics back in the day, like Pryor and like Eddie Murphy, and just like, oh my God, this is so incredible that you could just do this thing. And then watching comedic films, and I always wanted to do that. So when I was a kid, I think I was like 6 or 7, I told my mother that I wanted to be an actor. And so she was like, all right. She actually drove me to they don't even do them anymore, I don't think, but they're like cattle calls, what they call them. They're just like
Mm,
open calls for a commercial. It's like
I got
non-union
you.
talent, and they're just like, we're casting for, we need a kid for this or a person for
Yeah.
that. And so you just find it back in the day, for any of you young people that are listening to this, you would find it in the newspaper, and then you would go do the thing. So you show up. I remember driving over there, I like completely chickened out. I really had like, I wanted to do it so bad, and we got like 20 minutes outside of Philly, and I was like, I can't do this.
How old are you?
I was like 7,
God,
7 or
still a lot of pressure on a 7-year-old to go
I just was
perform.
like, I freaked out, and my mother, God bless her, drove like an hour to the city, and then she's like, "Are you sure you don't want to do this?" And then she turned around and was like, "Okay, I'm not going to make you do it if you don't want to do it." And I just chickened out. But then I kept talking about it, and then eventually we left the Philly area and went to Chicago, and I think it was 10 or 11, and then I started wanting to do it again. So she's like basically combed like the newspapers trying to figure out like who an agent was and going like the phone book back in the day.
Yeah.
And so we found it was back I don't even know if they're still around. It was Amelia Lawrence was the agent. But went auditioned for a bunch of things, and for 2 years it didn't get a job. And so my mother, God bless her, would literally stop what she was doing, and you just have to go to an audition when they give it to you. So it's
Yeah.
like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You just have to be there. So she would just stop what she was doing, and then we would go to these auditions. And I finally booked something when I was 13, and I joined the Screen Actors Guild at the time. It was before SAG-AFTRA had joined. This is '96, a long time ago. I was 13 years old, and so
Not that long ago. Come on, man.
yeah, yeah, right. Dude, I feel so old. It's like you get to the point where you're like, you can't just run spontaneously anymore. You have to like warm up first.
Oh,
It's
man. I
like,
went to a show last night, and by the end of the show, my knees were on fire, and I was
yeah,
like,
man,
"Yeah."
it's wild. It's like you sit. It's like I remember, guys, a couple years ago, I was at a bar watching a UFC fight with my buddy Tom, and he looked at me at one point. He goes, I don't know how these guys do this. My back hurts just standing there. I'm like, yeah, dude, I feel you. I feel you. But yeah, we went through this whole on again, off again thing with acting, and yeah, I pursued it. Long story too long, probably. I ended up we moved to Chicago. My father took a job somewhere else. Moved to Ohio. I kept pursuing it. When I was in Chicago, I was doing like the children's version of Second City and part
Mm,
of their theater thing. So I was like very actively involved in the comedy scene. I really liked it. And so I did it in Cleveland as well. And then I had an opportunity. I got representation with this group out of Pittsburgh called Doherty Agency. And I don't even know if they're still alive. They were much older than me at the time. Deb Doherty and this guy named Dan Pietrogallo Jr. Dan liked me for whatever reason and did a sit down taping for his friend Al in LA. It was
okay.
after a commercial that I booked, and it was this guy named Alan Arado. Alan Arado was like a really big deal agent wise in LA. Apparently, was like repping like Jennifer Lopez and some other like
Mm,
major like A-list celebrities. And so I did this taping. He didn't tell me who Al was until afterwards, and it was like, why do you want to be an actor? Like, who do you look up to in the acting world? Um, just like just a general like 10-minute, just quick
yep.
interview. And they sent the tape, and then Al called me and was like, "Hey, I think you should come to LA. You're great. We can rep you." And I was like, "Hey, this." I was like freaking out,
Wow.
and so um, I called my parents back. This is back when like the flip phone, like the Nokia days where you had like the buttons
T9.
on. Yeah, dude. Yeah, T9. Yeah, the T9 typing. And so I called my parents. They were freaking out, and I moved to LA September 9th of 2001. I was 18 at the time. I'm jumping around a little bit in
It's
my
all right.
life, but I moved there September 9th of 2001. Just got into LA, unpacked. My father drove me out there. 2 days later, the Twin Towers came down. And so I woke up, I was on my couch. My father woke me up and he's like, "Hey, your mom just called me. There's something's happening in New York." He turned the TV on, let's turn the news on. And we saw the towers in flames. And he basically watched TV for a couple hours. He's like, "Hey, I need to go home to your mother. Are you okay here?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, man, I'll figure it out." And so he went back to Vegas to be with her because we didn't know what was going on. And there's all this like, is the United States under attack thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God. So I was in LA for several months, couldn't get a job. Everything shut down. About 2 weeks after that happened, Al called me and was like, "Hey, man, I'm really sorry to do this, but like everything's on pause. So like we're just dumping everything that's not
Mm.
a list, basically celebrity.
Yeah.
And so I'm sorry to do this, but like, well, we're gonna cut ties and just like, best of luck to you." He goes, and I don't like harbor any grudge to the guy. I totally get it. It's not personal, but it's just like he goes, "If you need anything, don't hesitate to let me know." I go, "I need you to not drop me. I came out here for this." And he goes, "Good luck." And he just hung up and that was it. And I
Oh,
was like, "Oh, dude." And so I was just floundering in LA for several months and just ran through any little bit of cash that I had left over.
yeah.
And I always said I'd join the military if the timing was right. Just had a terrorist attack, couldn't find a job. Like I literally, I think it was a Hilton or a Hyatt. I was at 101 in Vineland. There's a hotel like right off of there. And they had an ad in the paper for house cleaner. And I just was like, "Can I get a job as literally could not get a job anywhere."
Wow.
They're like, "We're not hiring." And so, yeah, I took my ASVAB and then came back and I had calls from all the branches and went to the Marine recruiter and was like, I wanted to join to go into Stapleton. There was just the snipers. And yeah, the rest is history. And then I joined shortly thereafter, didn't say anything to my parents, drove home, and then told my parents over dinner that I had joined.
Wow.
But the reason there's something called the Soldier Sailor Relief Act of like whatever year they signed it, and if you're joining the military, you cut ties of all contractual agreements. So I couldn't pay for my rent, I couldn't pay my
Okay.
bills in any
Yeah.
capacity, and it's like I was a drag on my parents financially, and it was
Yeah.
like I felt very guilty about that, and I literally had no other options. The military is a great place if you have no other options, and
Yeah.
so yeah, joined the Marines. Told my parents. My mother cried at dinner. My grandfather, who's my mother's father, was thrilled. He was like, he was in the Army and in the Navy. Wanted to join the Marines, but it was like too intense for him. So he called me. He was like thrilled.
Wow.
He was very.
That's cool.
It was a really cool conversation. And then yeah, I was in the Marines. Got out of the Marines, was overseas in the Middle East in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. Our unit was over there. We were the first Humvee across the border into the Ramallah oil fields behind Alpha Tanks Battalion. So we cleared Ramallah in 3 days, pushed north through like Diwania, Saddam City, eventually to Baghdad, took Baghdad in like a 9-hour gun battle, and then held that for a couple weeks, and then gave it back to Third ID. They lost it. There was a back and forth there. There was that down Black Hawk helicopter
Yep.
pilot. That was our team that got that. Not my team directly, but our guys from Regimental Combat Team 5. The Jessica Lynch thing, but she was like, all that happened over there.
I mean,
Saddam in
that's
his spider hole. It was a very bizarre time, man.
history. I mean,
Yeah,
legitimate
yeah, it was.
history.
I was in Gun One, which was a 50 caliber mounted Humvee, 50 cal that was mounted on a Humvee in counter mech platoon. So it was a 50 cal, a Mark 19, which is a rapid fire grenade launcher, and then a tow gun, which stands for like I'm blanking on. It's like tube track. It's some obnoxious military acronym. It's like tube launched, optically tracked, wire command line guided missile system. It's the most
There's an acronym for everything in the
Dude, it's the
military,
most
man.
antiquated shit ever. It shoots a missile with it has a copper spool in it, and it's got this little thing that you can like turn back and forth and these knobs like a traversing unit, and you can guide it into like a tank basically.
Hmm.
But it has a copper thread attached to this rocket, so it's basically like shoots out a garrote wire. So if you're on the move, if you're traveling and you fire it, and you have this like taut copper wire flying through the air. We don't use it anymore. We it got replaced. I don't know with what, but that was a wild time, man. That was like a blur, and I remember getting, I remember landing in Miramar and getting back into a bus and driving back to Camp Pendleton, and like the smell of the vegetation in the air. And I just remember I looked over at a buddy of mine and I was like, dude, did we even do that? Like, were we even gone? It was so quick. It was really wild.
Wow.
And then we got back and I got out of the Marines in was it 04, 05, end of 04, beginning of 05, went back to school. Um, Eventually got back into entertainment and doing like MC work and just like weird, like use like the model, the quote unquote modeling agencies that were like you get hired to be at a booth at like CES or like a trade show to
Ah, I
hand
see.
stuff up.
Yeah.
So just doing that, and then MC work led to eventually getting a job. Actually at Samsung because I was doing MC work for Samsung, presenting product for them at CES and like camera shows and stuff. And so, in the process of doing that, I was in college and going to LA on the weekends and doing like a private chef thing for this guy. So I would cook food at his place and hang out with my buddy Nick. And I was trying to figure out entertainment out there and I couldn't. And then I got presented with a job opportunity to join Samsung to move to Chicago. And I wanted to go back to Chicago because I wanted to start an indie film company. I was like, I really want to do my own projects. And so I'm in 2011, I moved to LA or moved to Chicago and then got back involved with Second City and like doing sketch comedy and was in their conservatory program. Met my buddy Mike, and then Mike and I have very similar sensibility of like what quality is for film, and we became fast friends. And we had a couple sketch like improv troupe stuff,
Mhm.
comedy things that we were doing, like comedy short film, and then we set off to do our first feature film, which is a movie called Third Wheel, and it was way bigger than we were able to self-produce. And Mike had this idea for like a kind of a contained shoot all in one place film
Hmm.
called Thank You Five, which ended up being Thank You Five. Rather, I don't know if it was a title at the time, but we basically fleshed that out and ended up shooting that. And then COVID happened in Chicago, and everything just kind of went sideways. We lost a couple theaters. There was a big soundstage that got purchased for like $2.2 billion. It was a CineSpace. That was kind of the place that indie folks were
Mm.
using. And then, like I said, COVID happened. It was like I just felt like Chicago wasn't coming back anytime soon. And I was
Yeah.
itching to get something going creatively, and Austin was exploding, and then I moved out here. So it's like it's a whirlwind of like how I
Yeah.
got to Austin, man. It's very bizarre.
So real quick on Thank You Five. I mean, just a quick Google shows you got a lot of traction on that. And when we first met, you had told me that you had I don't know if it was recently or just in the past had sold a movie to Amazon. Was that the one?
Yeah, we got it on Amazon. It's through a company called Film Hub. So
Okay.
it's they put it up on Amazon, and that's Thank You Five. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a distribution service that we got
Gotcha.
introduced to through Eric Wilkerson from DVM video, or he was at one of the film festivals we went to for Kevin Smith, the Smod Castle Film Festival. We
Okay.
met him there, and he was the one that made the recommendation to go to Film Hub. So that got us on Amazon.
Okay. Cool. I mean, is it still out there? Can people still go
Yeah,
check
it's
it
still
out?
out there. Yeah, if you look up "Thank You Five," the number five, you can find it. There's actually a "Thank You Five" TV show, episodic piece that we have nothing to do with. Weirdly enough, that was started production. Oddly, I think the year after ours,
Okay.
but nothing to do with our thing. That was a wild time, man. We had there's so many. I don't know how much time do we have on this.
As much as we need, man.
Okay, this is a bizarre story. I've had like a lot of near like success things that always go sideways. So when I got back into so after the Marines, I got back into writing, and like I moved to LA to do like the whole acting comedy thing. And
Yep.
September 11th happened. I got into writing, so I was like, I just want to do my own stuff, and so I started writing this script. I wrote two, and I submitted them to an agent. And she was in the process of getting an option for a film for one of the scripts that I wrote, and it was a pretty sizable option, which was awesome. An option is basically a studio will option your script. They don't necessarily make it, but they have first rights to it.
Ah,
So they're like, they'll option a couple and they'll like, all right, we're going to probably make this one. And so I was waiting on the option to come through, and the writer's strike the massive writer strike happened,
Mhm.
and the industry shut down. And I was like, "Are they still optioning the film?" And they're like, "No, because there no one's doing anything." And like there was like what was it, the Writers Guild, like all the late night shows shut down. It was like a 6 month strike. It was really long.
I remember that.
And so, my agent at the time was like, the people that were doing this were like real estate guys that were doing really well, and they wanted to start a production company, and they just washed out of the industry, and they're like, "We're not doing this. This industry's too volatile." And
Yeah.
so it just like just cut out from underneath me. It was so frustrating. And so I was like, this is also why I was like, I got to just if I self fund, then then it won't be a problem. So anyway, I go to Chicago and we do Thank You Five, and this is in 2016, 2018, whatever, 2019 when we finished for the film and post production. And so we get through all of post production. We've got 7 hours of footage that we like dwindle down into a 2 hour ensemble comedy. Thank You Five is about theater production that struggles to get to opening night due to a dysfunctional cast and crew and a narcissistic director who's a bit of an asshole. It's a comedy. It's an ensemble comedy. It's a really good film. And I'm not saying that because it's mine. And I'm saying it because genuinely, I think Mike and I did a really good job of capturing what the theater experience is. It's not
Mm.
a bunch of tropes where there's like a director in a scarf who's like,
Yeah.
or some flamboyant actor or whatever. It's not none of that. It's about the relationships of the people in the theater, why they create art. It's very much like in line with why we did the film and like what I'm still doing today. It's all about like pursuing artistic craft and why you do it and what happens when it doesn't go well. Do you keep going? And so, and also not measuring success through this myopic view of like financial gain.
Mhm.
Because it's like we have a film, even though it wasn't financially successful. Like we did a film, it won a bunch of awards. We won Best Picture twice, we won Best Ensemble twice, we won Best Comedy at the 21st or 23rd Annual Fade and Comedy Awards, or Comedy Fade and Magazine Awards. I can't remember the title of it. So we had some great successes. We had a bunch of official nominations. We got a chance to screen at Kevin Smith's Film Festival. We got a chance to like be with him in a Q&A, which was great. But it's like if you look at things through a lens of success or failure, if you make money, you could very easily be like, oh, that was a failure. But for me, I'm like, all right, well, yes, you could write that off as like, yeah, it wasn't successful financially, but we have a film and it did really well, and the actors in it are worth your support. And it's very much in line with like why I'm doing local sets. Like there's talented people that aren't necessarily making money, but they're really good, and they should probably be somebody should be giving them attention.
Yep.
And so we got done with the film, and it was late 2019, and we submitted for the 2020 Film Fest stuff. And COVID happened, and it was like the world shut down,
Yeah.
and so everything went virtual. And um, we went to one film fest, which was in Oklahoma, and it was the one we won. One of the times we won Best Picture, which was great. But we came back and like everything shut down and all the film festivals went virtual. And the point of going to doing a film fest is like meeting other people in the
It's
industry and
networking, right?
networking and like finding producers for your next project.
Yeah.
And so, it's like another time when you do something and you're like, oh, this is great. We're on our way. And then it's like my legs got cut out from underneath me again. And it's like, it just was kind of like a tree falling in the woods, man. It's like if no one's around to hear it, doesn't really make a sound. And while it was great, and like we won Best Ensemble at Woods Hole, which is like a really big film fest, and like there was like Sherry O'Terry was debuting a short there, which is amazing. She's an SNL alum, so it's like to be at a film festival with like other really notable, like great comedians and
Mhm.
actors, and like come out of that with something notable was amazing. And Woods Hole is a great film fest, but it's like even the year after when they invited us, like, hey, you guys can come to the festival. We'll give you, tickets to show up just to like come next year. The following year ended up being virtual too. So like any wave of momentum from doing the film just got squashed, dude. It was so frustrating. So I was in Chicago just kind of like floundering, and just was like, I need to go do something else. And then I came out here to do stand up, was doing stand up for about 6 months, and then started the show. Just like had an opportunity to help somebody with some film stuff and record. I had a bunch of audio gear from the film and all
Yeah.
the cameras just sitting in a closet seemed kind of criminal. It's not helping anybody. So my buddy John, who performs in the name of JS, needed to record. a song, and then we were talking about doing some brand content stuff for him. And then rather than just record the audio, why don't we do the video too? So he has like content to put on social media because of this fucking content game everybody has to play all the time. It's super annoying.
Yeah.
And so we did that. He was coming over to do that, and then I just was like, "Hey, what are your thoughts on just doing a show where like I'll record you and you can do the music, and then we'll get the film content, and then you also have like the audio content. You can give that to somebody to remix and remaster. So you have like something you can put on Spotify. You have the film content you can put on social media, and you get like brand content because you're doing a Q&A, and you get to like authentically learn who the
Yeah.
person is, and then the show just kind of happens. So
So Local Sets was born out of that.
was local set. It's the longest story, guys. I'm so sorry, but it's like
It's all
how
right.
I got to this place it was over 15 years of just utter disappointment and failure and not stopping. And then it's like you get to a place where all of a sudden something starts to work, and it's like, is this really happening? Is this like we just hit 20,000 followers, and like
I saw that.
we've got a ton of people that are trying to come on the show, which is great. And I've got a backlog of artists, which is not great. So I'm trying to figure out like how we can do multiple shows on a weekend. So we've got like a Friday, Saturday show. And then now I'm trying to do 2 artists per show so we can get through the backlog and
Yeah.
help get people filmed and get their stuff recorded and
Right.
hopefully help more people out. So
And so it was all originally done in your backyard.
yeah, it's just my backyard, man.
That's and that was just out of pure just kind of just trying to start something out from scratch and
It was a bit of I don't want it to sound like the show was not intentionally designed. The opportunity to do the show was like kind of came out of just the universe just giving you an opportunity to do something. The doing it in our backyard was more of a financial thing because if you're at a place, you're like paying a rental fee of some kind, or you're
yeah,
trying to, which is why we're charging for tickets for the show now to be in downtown. But the the concept of doing it in the yard was like twofold. One, I didn't have to pay for the space, and then also I didn't have to lug my shit everywhere because it's a multi-camera shoot. There's audio gear, there's an
fair.
audio board, and so I didn't want to have to like cart my gear all over town to a place. And then at the end of last year, I made a promise to Emily, my wife, that because we were having a kid, I was like, I can't host a music show. We can't have a music party at
Yeah,
my place every Friday, Saturday. It's
right.
not, yeah. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's not
we
feasible.
have to put it in a place, and we found a spot for a minute earlier in the year, and then that unfortunately didn't work out for reasons I won't go into just because being kind, but we ended up having to go somewhere else. And so we're now in downtown on 5th Street, which is great. We're 1 block west of Antone's at a place called Black Box Music Studio
Yep.
or Music Academy, which is Ronnie Hall's,
Mhm.
another guy who you should interview.
Yeah, Nico. I didn't know the name, and when I was talking with Nico last week, I guess he helped Nico vocal coaching.
Yeah.
Uh,
He's very good, and Ronnie's
Very
got an
good.
amazing voice. His range is like kind of I don't even know, it's like superhuman. Something's off. It's like his range is crazy. He's got like deep stuff, and he's got like crazy whale noises. Like it's like
Interesting. All right. Cool. Yeah. Well, I will reach out to Mr. Hall.
yeah, he's a great dude. But yeah, started in the backyard, really just from a feasibility of like, how do you not? One of the things I did learn from Thank You Five was not getting over my skis financially on a project. So it was like, take all the mistakes and don't do those again. So it's like, how do you do something that's contained, that is small enough that I can do it? I don't have to worry about like I don't need other people to do it with me.
Mhm.
So it's like doing the audio engineering side was a bit of a education I had to go to school on. And then just the new board that we upgraded, actually another group of people you should talk to, Dan Parsagian and Noel. Blanking on Noel. I always forget Noel's last name. I'm so sorry, Noel. They're from a group called Jam. It's
Yeah.
joining all musicians.
Noelle's going to be on the show
Oh,
here
great, dude.
pretty quick, pretty soon.
Yeah, she's amazing. Both those guys are amazing. Dan's an audio engineer and is Dan Parsagian, absolute amazing human being, and like helped me find a soundboard where I can both dual record the show for the live broadcast and live stream, and then also do a separate recording of all the individual stems from the musicians' instruments plus the vocals.
Mhm.
There's going to be bleed in the vocals because we're in a live show, but at least they'll have more control over the instruments, and it's just a clean recording. So if they want to put effects over it, now they can. So not just getting like a a wave file of all of the things. It's like now it's like when the artists come on the show, they get 100% of the content is now including, the video content for brand stuff, the Q&A for brand, rather the video content for their social media stuff, the audio if they want to, artists can take and strip all the conversation and dialogue out of the show and just upload it as like a live EP. And with the stems now, they can do that. And that came from Dan. There's an amazing dude. It's like having to learn the audio. I can't hire anybody, and I'm not gonna like go out of pocket financially to
Yeah.
cover this because that's what I did for Thank You Five, and I got way over my
Lessons
skis.
learned, man.
So it's like part of this is like why I did it in the yard. It's just like, all right, I got to do this in a way that's contained, that's not going to go crazy. And people have been awesome and like really have come out of the woodwork to help. Like Amy from Amy's Edible Art, she does these like cupcakes for us every time we have
Yep.
like a landmark show. She's incredible. And so also Joe White, who's a photographer, guy's absolutely amazing. He does stuff with Kill Tony for Tony Hinchcliffe. He's one of their photographers.
Nice.
Got introduced to him from a friend. Actually, he took our photos for my quote unquote bachelor party. We didn't really do a bachelor party, but I'm fucking 42 and got married. It's like, what are you doing a bachelor party for? But we went to the comedy. We went to the Mothership for the night before we got married, just to see a stand-up show. And Joe walked me through and took photos, which was really cool. And so it got me like photos on the stairs and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I needed, after our wedding, we were coming back I was still doing seasons back then, our quote unquote season 2. And I wanted to hire a photographer. So I sent Joe a message and I was like, hey man, would you help? And he came in and did the photos, and he's been like, Joe's the fucking man. He's helped us out so much in doing photos. He's come in for like all of our like bigger acts to make sure we get him captured.
Yeah.
But then, and he's going to be with us on the 6th for our first show back, which is Lucas John Turner is doing an album release. So we're going to do a little bit of a party. Amy's bringing in some cupcakes. I got a surprise for Lucas. I was going to bring it and show you, but I was running late.
It's all right. And it's all at Black Box.
All Black Box. Yeah. We're at,
Awesome.
all of our shows are going to be running through Black Box through October. And I haven't released our Saturday dates in October yet for all the Friday, Saturday shows from late Q4, November, December, and the Saturday shows in October. I haven't released who they are yet. So I'm holding off on, we have hopefully some really big, cool announcements.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so with Black Box, are you going to be able to have people come and attend?
Yeah, it's a BYOB space, but the last place we were at was a bit of a problem because of the ambient noise of a bar.
Mm-hmm.
We really need to be in a listening space. That's something I miss from doing at our old, I can't fucking speak. Sorry guys. At our old house.
Yeah.
There was an audience interaction piece where I
Mhm.
tried to get people involved in the show.
Yeah.
And at a bar where people are sitting so far away from you, it's really hard to do.
Yeah.
And we can bring that back now with the new space. So the artist will be in the front. There's like a little cutout area around, and then everybody will be behind me. And we're actually going to bring the artists up through the crowd, kind of like WWE style. So that'll be fun. And then hopefully we can get back into some more audience interaction with the musicians. It's a lot of fun, man. It's a place ultimately of love and support. It's the whole purpose of the show. I probably should have explained that at some point. It's
all good.
it's like a podcast basically with music. It's essentially what it is. It's like we bring someone in, do a quick intro, who they are, and then they play a song, and then we get into basically what we're doing right now, and we just go back Q&A song, all the way through until we're out. It's about an hour to an hour and a half. In the past, we'll probably run about an hour and a half to 2 hours now with the multiple artists on.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a place of love and support. I don't listen to anyone's music before they come on the show. I don't want to be a gatekeeper. The whole purpose of that is to like, give a platform to people. I feel like my job as a host and a producer is to like put the show on and make sure the audience is having a good time. And the Q&A is a great format for that. We try to be a little lighthearted and goofy at times. We've had artists talk about really serious stuff like drug addiction, sexual abuse. We've also had artists like, Jack Carson from Jack with No K, another great artist for you to interview. He's hilarious. He's a really funny dude and really, really very kind. Jack is a very funny guy. So it's like, more of like a stand-up type show. And at one point I was doing stand-up more. I can't even say I do stand-up anymore because I haven't done it at all this year, but I was having stand-ups co-host the show. I was trying to bring in a co-host element because I wanted to blend like the comedic world and the music world because
Okay, that's
comedians
cool.
and musicians are we're very similar animals. Um, it's just like, one person's art is a guitar, other person is a pen, but they're very similar personalities. But it's like having a guest host on a regular is it's just it was a lot to do, and so it was causing confusion where people were like, "Why do you have someone on the show sometimes and not?" And so
Mm,
I've scrapped it for the time being, but I would really like to bring back the guest host comic thing and have other musicians in. I would love for you to come on the show and guest host at some point,
absolutely,
especially
I'd
as a
love
dope
to.
musician. You fucking sandbagger. You're like, oh, I'm okay. Like, and then I hear from all these people how badass you are. I'm like, you son of a bitch. But I would love to bring that element back to the show. I just feel like we have to get it in a space and get people familiar with it. And then once people are familiar with the concept, then I can start introducing more stuff. But it's like, if you just do introduce a bunch of stuff at one point, people are like, "What the hell is this?" It just becomes like a miasma of shit. But I really would like to get back to that space. But yeah, we're all the shows are going to be there. We're going to have Lucas John Turner, Grace Scott, and the Dan Hockman trio is Saturday, and then there's a bunch of stuff online I can tell you about if you want.
So you're bringing artists in, and they're telling you, like you said, somewhat serious stories, somewhat lighthearted stories. I would say that the biggest thing that I've noticed about the show is, I don't know, there's a lot of different podcasts and a lot of different, I guess, just YouTube series of an artist coming and playing one song, and you don't really hear from them about maybe why they wrote the song or what who their band is, what their band means to them. And
Mhm.
so, from my perspective, it really gives them that platform to kind of explain what they're doing. Have you looked at Under the Rock or what Dr. Rokeland's doing with that?
I just found out about this from, or I shouldn't say just, it was a couple months ago. Joe James was on our show. Joe's amazing.
Cool.
Another artist you should interview.
Yeah, I've been following Joe for a while.
He's a really good dude. He's an unbelievably kind and generous person, and I absolutely love him. He's a really good guy.
I think he used to have a residency. There's that Mexican restaurant on South First behind the Texas School for the Deaf, kind of across the street
Mhm.
from the Torchies, and they
Yeah.
have they have a stage there. I think he had a residency. Anyways, but yeah, that's
He told me about it. I haven't been. I know Grayson just went on.
mhm,
I haven't met him. What was his name?
Dr. Rokeland.
Dr. Rokeland?
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't met him. I think he was at Grayson's backyard party that we were at.
he
Uh,
might have been. Yeah, I'm
I
not
think I
sure.
reckon he always has like a hat on, right?
Yeah,
Glasses.
yeah,
Yeah, seems like a nice guy. It's a very I think it's like he does the psychology behind the lyrics or something like that.
yeah, and that's why I ask, because it's a super unique way to do things, and I think I mean, y'all doing separate things, but anytime you can get more into where the artist headspace is on a
Mhm.
song, or just where they are as a person, I think you just create that level of connection,
Yeah.
with the audience, and I think it's awesome.
Well, the purpose of the Q&A is really like to create the brand content. There's a lot of the artists I talk to about coming on the show. The purpose of the Q&A is to like it's to get to know the artist. We want to keep it light and funny because I want people's personality to come out. It's also why I ask people to stop covering songs. Like we're not doing any more cover songs on the show moving forward. And
Yeah,
again, what I was saying about the not listening to people's music, I won't. If you send me your stuff, I'm not going to listen to it. I don't want to hear anyone's music before they come on the show. I genuinely want to hear it on the day. Um, there's something about capturing that excitement that I think is more genuine. I don't want to screen people. It's not my job. Like what I was saying earlier, it's like it's not my job to be the judge of what is good musically. That's the audience's job.
yeah,
And it's like my job is to put the show on and make sure the show's good. The audience's job is to provide feedback of whether or not they like it, and then the musician's job is to like fucking kick ass.
yeah,
And so I think in within those bookends of like roles and responsibilities, if you will, um, the purpose of the brand content or the Q&A rather is to provide the brand content so people can like I'm hoping people will fall in love with that person and their music. And you can't really do that unless you have an honest conversation.
yeah,
Even about something that's difficult or, something that's lighthearted or whatever. It's like, how do you, this is, I think, one of the biggest problems in the industry. It's great that technology has been democratized in entertainment where anybody can get in, but the downside, it's like your greatest strength is always your greatest weakness. The downside of that is that now everybody can get in. So it's like, where do you go within all of the tech spaces and all the streaming platforms to find like
Mm,
music you like? And so it's like you can go create your own thing, or you can use the platforms themselves to create another platform internally. So it's like
mm,
creating local sets becomes a brand for artists in the independent space. And I'm trying to get more established artists on as well, and maybe some labeled artists will maybe have an announcement about that, um, where that will ultimately drive more eyeballs to the show,
mhm,
which will ultimately help the artists out.
sure.
So it's like, if we can provide a place where you can listen to music you're not going to hear on the radio, and also too, it's like I've become such a music snob now because of the show. Like I listen to the radio and I'm like, I don't want to listen to any of this shit. I
Yeah,
go back and listen to all the artists that have been
yeah,
on the show, but it's like, if we can provide a place where you can find new music, you can like see the person and hear their music, see the person for who they are, their personality, their character, like you get to learn who they are. It builds an emotional attachment to the person where it's not just something cool. Because the thing is, if you make a great song, okay, great. But if you don't have an emotional attachment to it, besides the fact that it's cool, you just run off to the next thing that's cool. But it's like Grayson, for example, he's got some really great music and he's a really nice guy and he's like
mhm.
super funny and affable. And he actually saved my ass at the beginning of our own show because I had to replace a board right before we went live because I couldn't get it. Something was wrong. And I replaced the board and then we started the show. I was like super frazzled and I introduced him as Grayson Taylor. Not once, not twice, but thrice I did this. I was like, as we were doing, I'm like, the one and only Grayson Taylor. I kept saying it. And then at the
Oh
top of
my
the show,
god.
he's like, Grayson Turner. And I looked down, I was like, oh my God, dude, where's my brain? He goes, he's such a classy guy. The guitar is a Taylor. That's what you meant. And
That
I was like, oh yeah, that's
yeah,
it.
for sure, for
That's
sure, for
it.
sure.
That's it. That's what I was doing. But it's like that type of moment. It's like, oh man, like this guy's great. His voice is bananas. He's probably, there's like three artists that I think have probably the best voices that I've heard in Austin from the guys that have been on the show. Dusty Miller, his voice is bananas.
Yep,
The guy has really good voice. Adam Knight is another one. Absolutely crazy voice, super powerful. And then Grayson's probably the third.
yep,
Grayson's voice is insane. He's super talented. He kind of has all the things. Like
yep,
he's going to be a big deal.
yeah,
But
agreed.
yeah, that's the purpose of the long story again, too long. The purpose of the
We're chilling.
maybe I had too much caffeine.
We're chilling, man.
I was worried I was going to be so tired at 9:30 in the morning.
That's what
Like,
happens when you have a X-month-old.
I know, right? My sleep terrorist that's currently ruining our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Q&A portion is really crucial. Just to I'll shut up about the Q&A. In order to find out who the person is and to build that connection, because if you make an emotional connection with somebody, you're more likely to support their stuff, and you're not going to just like leave to go to somebody else's stuff. And then hopefully you will find an emotional connection through their music, through their stories, through their personality, and then hopefully that will get more people out to listen to their stuff or at least to stream it.
When we first met, you made that point to me, and also about how, even as a podcast host, people don't want to connect themselves to necessarily the podcast or what's happening, but they want to connect themselves to you as a host and a person.
Mm,
And that, I mean, I had never really thought of it that way. I mean, you think of the big podcasters, like the big Rogans in the world, like, yeah, sure, they listen to his podcast, but they also are, either big into MMA or, big into the health scene, and just
mm,
that they connect with him personally,
yeah.
right? And if you could do that with an artist, it makes so much sense if you're able to connect with an artist over a song, or maybe your story is very similar to theirs. Like Dusty was talking about how, he had that song 345, or he's working in the oil field,
Yeah,
waking up
dude,
at
it's wild when you hear
345.
that about while they write it, and you're like, "Oh
Exactly.
shit, you were waking up at 3:45 every
Yeah.
morning to go to the oil fields."
But
Like,
how many people watching that have had past lifestyles like that?
yeah,
Like, yeah, man, I used to wake up same time and do the same shit. And
yeah,
now they're big Dusty Miller fans because of that. And
yeah.
I just think that's so unique and cool, man.
Thanks, man.
I think it's awesome. So, and you kind of touched on it, but you moved down to Austin, and whenever I was kind of preparing for the show, and I was thinking like, why not LA or Nashville? I understand LA and the connection now, but do you think you could do this in any other city?
I do. I do. And I have plans I haven't
Okay,
talked about publicly. And I don't know if I will now, but
that's fine.
I have. I have some big ideas for this because I think this show could legitimately help um, create a centralized platform for independent artists. My concern, centralization in the past has been used to like fuck people. And that's my concern about. I don't want this show getting captured by something. Um, I don't want like when I first started doing the show, people, the number one thing I heard from everybody's like, "Oh my god, you can make so much money charging the artist to come on." And I'm like, "You fucking missing the point. You're missing the point.
The entire point.
The entire point of this." Like the artists, and like I'm coming at this from a filmmaker perspective as an independent filmmaker. Like we get so screwed all the time. So we did Thank You Five. We had there's these guys called producers reps, and they would come out of the woodwork and be like, "Hey kid, like I love your fucking project. It's great. And give me 30 grand and I'm gonna get you, I'll get you all over the." And it's like, I'm not giving you $30,000 to fly to France to go to Cannes to talk to some producer you claim to know. Like this
Yeah.
is the shit of the industry. And this is like I did a little Canvas Rebel write up, but this was like it's like vultures, vampires, like there's just like the industry is just full of shitty people that will come out of the woodwork. They'll promise you the earth, moon, and the stars, and they will deliver nothing. And so at the end of it, you're left more frustrated, usually with less money, and you're in a place where you're like, why am I doing this? And then you get this creative call and you keep going. Pardon me.
You good.
Sorry about my burp. So soda water. But you get this point where it's like you're left in almost like a worse place because you still have the drive to do it, but you've been taken advantage of, and now it's like you sour to it. And this is like very stoppable by everybody in the fucking world. This is so frustrating. And I says to people a lot, be the world you want to live in. So rather than complaining about it, go do it.
Go
So
do
it's
it.
like we did the show, I started doing it, and it's like I'm the artist can never be charged for being on the show. My number one thing right now with the ticket sales is to pay for the space, which is crucial because Ronnie, if you can't pay for the space, then we can't be there. So it's like that's a crucial part of that. Once my next piece of that is to get the artist paid. I haven't figured out how to do that yet, but the only way that I can pay the artist is in like tangible product back to them.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm doing this recording. So I take that incredibly serious because if I screw the recording up at all, they don't get the thing that they came on
Yeah.
the show for.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So the stakes are very high there. But it's like I would love to do something like this in LA. I would love to go back to Chicago and do this. I love Chicago. My heart breaks for what happened to that city through the just corrupt dickhead politicians that ruined that place. They just do not give a shit about their citizens, and it shows. And they completely ruined the city. But there's a great music world in Chicago. There's a great music world in New York. There's a great music world in Nashville. But the thing that I've noticed is like all those major places, New York or LA, you get or Nashville, you get into this place where it's like very fake. It's very disingenuous. It's like
Mm.
people they want to quote unquote help you, but they don't. And the whole purpose of this thing was like, can we build something where the artists are first? Is that possible? And so we started doing the show, and it's like, yes, it's possible. Do the artists need help? Yes, they do. Are they struggling? All of them. Are they talented? Most of them. Do we need like more eyeballs on new artists everywhere? Film, comedy, music, entertainment in general. Absolutely. You get stuck in this like stagnant water of nepotism where you see the same people coming through back and back and back. And it's great. They're doing well, but there's amazing artists that need help being lifted up. I would love for this platform to be able to do that in other places. I'm just concerned. I don't want this to get captured by something and then all of a sudden exploit the artist where
Yep.
it's like, hey, if you come on this show, you're going to get eyeballs everywhere and people are going to know about you. And then somehow that's screwing them. And then there's always an angle for shitty, nefarious people to figure out how to screw people and contracts and whatnot. And this is also why it's like, I keep telling the artist, like, I don't want anything. If you come on the show, you do a show, and you have, let's say you do 6, 7, 8, whatever songs, you can take that and make a live EP on it and put it on Spotify. I don't want anything for it. If you make $1 million, I don't want a dime. Like the artists are already getting fucked as they are constantly.
Yeah.
They don't have money, they don't have power, they don't have control over their own stuff, and that has to change. The labels don't exist without the artist, the venues don't exist without the artist, the entertainment doesn't exist without the artist, but the artist will always exist because people will create. And that should be something that should be celebrated. But somehow everything else has come full circle ahead of the artist, and it has to stop. And so that was part of the thing of this is like being very frustrated as a filmmaker and coming at this from a different side of the industry, but seeing the exact same shit play out. It's like, how do we make something better? And how do we build something that we have to safeguard that won't get captured? That's what I would love to do. I would love to do that in another space, but I have no plans to go back to LA anytime soon. Full disclosure.
Yeah.
Nashville might be cool. New York might be cool. London would be amazing. There's some really badass music in London. There's an incredible independent artist. There's this guy Ren. I don't know if you know him. He's probably
Mm-mm.
the biggest artist. Ren. You can look him up on YouTube. He's a song called "Sick Boy." Or maybe it was his last album. That guy, I messaged whatever that I. This was like years like when we first started. I was like, dude, please come to Austin.
Yeah.
I was like, please, I can't fly out here, but like, please come. He
Yeah.
would be amazing to interview. Really, really talented dude. But yeah, it would be cool to pull this somewhere else. But right now, I think what I would really like to see happen is Austin turn into like the lighthouse for independent artists and independent musicians that need help and want to be celebrated for who they are
Yeah.
and not get gobbled up by the machine. It's like that would be awesome. And I think Austin's turning into, like, in a couple years, this place might be like a music capital that hasn't existed before, which is
Mm.
awesome.
Even even in the I mean, hell, Austin's always had its heyday, but even in, the merger of the countries and country folk, the Willies and all the hippies that came into, you
Yep.
think even more so than around then?
Yeah, I think look, Austin's history is beyond incredible, especially I mean, Stevie, obviously, Willie. There's like, I think Austin, what I've seen from my conversations with people, and like whether it's stand up, other independent filmmakers coming out here, podcasters. I mean, you've got guys like, Michael Malice, who is a New Yorker, who's like, I'm never leaving New York, who's
Yeah.
now in Austin.
Yeah.
You got comedians like East Coast comedians like Tim Dillon, who are
Oh, yeah.
out here,
Yeah.
Tom Segura. You've got the Podfather himself.
Mhm.
Oh God, what's it? Steve? Not Curry. Adam Curry. I was a
Adam
Stephen Curry.
Curry.
It's a basketball player. Steph Curry. Adam Curry. Like, he's the guy who started the podcast. Like, he's outside of Austin. There's something very special about this place. That's like the frustrations I think people are having within the entertainment industry, where they're not seen, they're not heard, they don't have a voice. And like, the worst thing you can do is to like rob somebody of their voice. And I think everybody is deserving of that, which is hence what the platform I'm trying to create. But it's like, whether it be film, comedy, music, whatever, I think people are tired of the establishment. You see this in the corporate media. People aren't watching the news like they were. They're getting their news from like podcasters, or they're finding it on things like Substack
Yep.
or independent journalists. People are just kind of done. They're tuning out from the establishment for a reason, because the establishment is putting out the same thing. And it's not that it's like Starbucks coffee, right? It's like,
Yeah.
it's the coffee I think is shit. I don't like it, but it's like, if I need a cup of coffee,
Yeah.
I'll get some Starbucks, you
Yeah.
know? It's the same thing. It's like, if I'm bored in the car and I like, I've listened to everything I want to listen to on Spotify from the artist, I might throw the radio on.
Mhm.
There's always going to be a place for like, Pearl Jam or Alice in Chains, or like,
Yeah. Chili
like,
Peppers.
yeah, man. It's like, there's always going to be I love that. I love that music, but it's like the new music, it's like super overproduced. I like the art, like musicians are just like evaporating in like legacy media. It's like the people who are doing arenas, it's like all pop music,
Mhm.
versus it's like all like kind of like, it's dancing, a lot of like pre-canned stuff.
Right.
And it's like the live instrumentation. Like, we had Robert Parker Jr. on the show, who's another great guy that you should interview. He's amazing. Robert is a fascinating human being, super talented guitar player. Doesn't live too far away from here, I believe. And watching that guy play guitar, it's like a little like Stevie Hendrix. Like, he's a super talented dude, and it's like flawless, effortless, just all over the frets. It's not like avant-garde weird, where you see like, you ever see the guys in like Instagram where they're like all up and down the frets,
Yeah.
tapping on the guitar and
Yeah.
turning it. It's just like,
Not my
it's
not my
like, all right,
flavor.
you're very talented with the guitar. We get it. It's your like third arm. We get it.
Yeah.
You're very good. It's just, it's not commercially viable. It's cool for a 10-second video, but it's like, to listen to music that's that chaotic all the time is
Yeah.
just not my thing. Anyway, Robert, like watching him play the guitar, and I think we were talking about AI at one point, where I'm like, I don't know how you could create a Robert Parker Jr. with AI. I don't
Mm.
know how you are going to do that. You might be able to bullshit it at some point, but you can't do it live.
Yeah.
And it's like to see somebody like that at that level live is like incredible. You're not getting that from establishment media.
Right.
You're getting Taylor Swift
Yeah.
or Beyonce, and not to
Yeah.
shit on those women. They're very talented and
No,
they're wildly successful.
but that's not your point.
But it's like, how do you get not that studio overproduced, more raw, more real, more authentic? Like, I think that in a world that is drowning in inauthentic everything, when you finally find something that is authentic, it's like a breath of fresh air.
Mhm.
And I think that's what is missing in the film industry because everything's a fucking superhero film now. My God, it's like you can't make a movie unless someone's got a cape. It's like it's
Funny.
like the same thing in music. Like the studios aren't touching anything unless there's like a massive production behind it from like the digital producers side of it, like the other side of the house, where it's all back end. And I get it because it's like it's a business. You're not gonna if you know superhero movies sell, what are you gonna make? You're gonna make superhero movies.
Yeah.
If you know the Lego movie did well, you're gonna make the Minecraft
Yeah.
movie. Like this is what the thing is. And there's a what is commercially viable versus like what is more authentic. And I think audiences are, I think they're very thirsty for authentic things.
Yeah.
And I think that's why podcasts are successful. I think that's why hopefully shows like Local Sets continue to be successful. I think that's why independent film is starting to come back. Like people are just, they're kind of done with, I feel like you're being told what to like.
Yeah.
It's like, here's the music that you need, dummy. Like, listen to it on the radio. This is
Yeah.
what's good for you.
Yeah.
Like, watch this film. This is what's good for you. It's like, I don't want to watch or listen to any of this crap.
Yeah.
I want to find something authentic. I want to genuinely like the people. I don't want to support a faceless organization. I don't want to watch another movie that's like Marvel or Star Wars or another universe that's been overplayed. I want something fresh and new. And I think people are finding that in hopefully media channels like yours, hopefully on something like myself as well.
Right.
And I think there's something to celebrate in that. And I think that's happening right now in Austin. Another long story too long, going back to like the stuff with like what the history was here.
Mhm.
I think there's a breakaway from the coasts and like the establishment to do something that's authentic. And if you want to do your own thing and you want to authentically do your own thing, you're going to want to have control over it. And you can't do that if you're in a place like LA. You're going to get handlers and you're going to get
Yeah.
a label that's going to have clauses in it that tell you what you can't talk about. And it's like it's just bizarre, man. And it's like you trade off, and I get it. It's like you get to a point where financially you're just like, look, I don't care anymore. I just
Mhm.
don't want to struggle. And so
Yeah.
people make that choice, and I don't blame them, and I don't hold a grudge against those people. And I don't know, but maybe I would do that myself. I have no idea what the future holds, but it's like I just think something very special is happening here, and I think we're living through a historic time, and it's in Austin.
Yeah.
That's fucking amazing, man. It's like the studio system in LA when it was being built in the 50s, or like stand up in the 80s in New York. Like
Mhm.
that was the place to be. Like
Right.
stand up was exploding. It's like, what is this thing that is all of a sudden catching? Like if you're in New York doing stand up in the 80s, like those guys are all still around. I think that is happening in Austin now. There's something here. Entertainment has bifurcated away from the establishment and it's new. It's this.
Yeah.
And I think people genuinely want this more than they want the other stuff. And it's just harder to find. There isn't a centralized place to find it. You kind of have to dig for it your own. But the people that dig for it and find it, they're like infinitely loyal to it because it's like they're a part of it. I
Yeah.
think that's special, man. Yeah. So I think that something is special here, like very much so.
The community is strong. There's no
Yeah,
doubt about it.
incredibly.
Just through this show in 2 months, the amount of folks that I've met, and everybody is extremely genuine about what they do,
Yeah,
and authentic. And I haven't met one person yet that is truly in it for the dollars. And I would gather to say that most of the music, there's probably, and I don't know percentage wise of musicians, think of a random pop artist that are really in it because they want to be billionaires,
sure.
right? Like
Yeah.
when they start out, they just love making music. Then I think of a guy like Charlie Crockett,
Hmm.
like lived a hard, true, honest life on the road. He's busking in New York City. He's doing his thing in New Orleans. He's from the Valley, and he recently, I think he signed, and I'm gauging this based off of Instagram posts, so I could be completely wrong, but I think he had just recently signed a deal with Sony.
Oh wow.
Um, and somebody please correct me if I'm wrong there. I don't want to disrespect Charlie Crockett there, but in his post, he was talking about how he still owns everything. and he made it a point to say that in this post that,
Mm,
he's like standing in front of the Sony building in either New York or LA, and he's like, "Yeah, I just did this. This is me. This is where I'm at in my life, but guess what? I still own this."
mhm.
And I had cousins who were in the music business, and I remember even at this is like when we were teenagers, and he's like, "Yeah, the number one thing you have to do as an artist is create your own label because then you control everything."
Yeah.
So this whole multiverse of authenticity and staying away from the money hungry folks and just trying to control and own everything, and then where Austin is, to your point about the not only the music scene but the comedy scene, just owning the city right now.
Films going out to Bastrop. There's like a studio being built
Yeah,
out
so
there.
I wanted to get your opinion on that. What do you think about this whole legislature around Texas and the tax credits? And I mean, do you think that'll hold? I don't know where the bill currently sits.
The tax credit things, I don't know if it's passed or not, but tax credits are interesting because it brings in film. It usually gets gobbled up by major players that know how to like do it.
Yeah,
I've never done anything with tax credits, don't know how it works,
yep.
don't know the ins and outs of it. It's usually for more established companies. There's also nothing wrong with that because the more established companies are also creating hundreds, maybe thousands of jobs, maybe
You
tens of thousands of
you
jobs for
need
somebody.
that.
Yeah.
You
I
need
mean,
that.
there's a reason after every movie, the credits are fucking 90 minutes too.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
there's a city of people that it took to
Hmm.
make the thing that you just watched for an hour.
Yep.
And so yeah, like there's a whole economy behind these things as well. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
And Nico and I were talking about this about how, South Congress is commercialized, but look how thriving that district is, right? And look at what it's doing to support the arts and local and the community in general. So yes, you need stuff like that for the
Yeah, man.
economy of it all.
Yeah. I think as long as, the as cities change and talk to I'm not from Austin, I'm part of the problem. Like all the transients
We
that
all
come
are,
here.
man.
But talking to people that are from Austin and like what they've seen the city change and like go through, it's very I again, it's like be the world you want to live in. We can keep Austin the same Austin that it's been, or at least damn near close to it,
Hmm.
if it's front of mind.
Yeah.
Like you just have
Yes.
to make it a concerted effort,
Hmm.
and like that comes with making choices. And yeah, you can make a choice to like there's the food park truck down the way in
Hmm.
Easton Park.
Hmm.
She has that property. She's been offered a gazillion dollars multiple times by multiple developers because they
Yep.
want to turn that into an apartment
Yep.
complex. She's turned it down every time because and she's created this food truck park where there's multiple Sinizo coffees over there. There's a couple other places. I'm blanking on the name of
That's all right. Yeah.
there's a whole you get like pizza, there's Italian, there's paninis,
Side
there's
truck.
yeah, Thai, there's Mexican, there's coffee, donuts, there's like sweet dessert stuff. And her whole thing is like, I could sell this or I could not and create something
Hmm.
and keep it Austin. That's the choice. Like you have a choice. You don't have to constantly we have like lost ourselves in what is important in this world. We pursue money and finance, and I get it. It's money's really important to have, and sometimes people don't have a choice; they have to.
Yep.
Backs against the wall, and they just have to.
Yep.
I get it, but when you have a choice, don't fucking take the easy road. Like take the like sometimes having integrity means not taking the money and creating something that's going to be hard to create, but ultimately better in the long run. And you have a journey to have after it. And so, yeah, I get it. Money's great to have, but she's trying to do something with this park rather than
Hmm.
just sell out and be like, yeah, peace out, bitches, and like enjoy your shitty
Yeah.
apartment complex that's going to get overcrowded or
Right.
whatever. And so she's trying to create something for the community. That's the kind of thing that we can do as like Austinites, whether original, like OG Austinites, which are like unicorns, people that are from here,
Hmm.
like born and raised from here, or the people that are new to the community. Like you can make a choice to like put the Austin thing first and not take the cash. And like I think that's happening a lot here. There's a weird holdout. I don't know if it's a Texas thing or if it's an Austin thing, but like there's just like a weird like you won't capture me attitude here that I haven't seen in other places. And I know that Austin's changed a ton, but like if you go back to Chicago in like the late 90s, early aughts, it was all like independently owned.
Mm.
You see like the guy who owns the place or the guy who's like the restaurant you're in, the owner's like in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And like a lot of that's changed. And a
Yeah.
lot of it's like restaurant groups that buy them up. And then homogenize them into like regardless of where you are, it's like the same blah. It's just like an Asian fusion blah versus a barbecue blah or whatever. It's not like the
Yeah.
personality's gone.
Sure.
And like I think Austin's preventing that from happening, which I love.
Yeah. And I would agree. I mean, I think if you look around town at who the major players are in the event venue space, and I'm not talking about the Scootins, I'm talking about the Sea Boys of and the Austin Soundgarden and places like
That place
that.
is dope. Yeah.
And then you look at some of the restaurant groups, like yeah, there's some outside, chefs coming in from LA and New York and opening up spots here, but there's also a lot of regional guys. I mean, how many taco places have a James Beard Award in Austin?
That's wild, right?
Isn't that
Yeah.
insane? And that's just to me, that's just Austin in a nutshell, right? But going back to the whole tax credits thing, I don't really truly understand it all. I mean, I get the general gist of it. I worry is not the right word, but I wonder how that's going to affect economies like Bastrop. There was all these talks, and I don't know if that's still in the works with a major studio coming
I
into
think that
Bastrop.
happened. Yeah,
Okay,
I think it was Warner Brothers, maybe. The internet will correct me.
okay.
The internet's undefeated. They
Yeah,
they know everything. It's
I
great.
know that. Yeah, this podcast has me definitely. I don't mince my words, but I'm like, well, I'm gonna get corrected on that for sure. But
Yeah, yeah.
so you had a big, was it Warner Brothers, whoever, and I mean, to me, the one side of me is like, that's great. The city of Bastrop is gonna do so well because of that. I mean, Southeast Austin is the last one of the last frontiers in terms of the city of Austin, left to develop and build out. And so, to me, I see nothing but good coming out of it as long as, like you said, the people that are involved, at least around it, Warner Brothers, you can't expect them to have.
No, they're
uh,
gonna come in and do it.
Yeah,
If it is Warner Brothers, if I don't have that messed up, like they're gonna come in and do whatever they want to do that's
exactly.
in the best interest for Warner Brothers, which is why I was saying it's like you have a choice to say like what's in the best interest of the community.
Right.
And I think like again, going back to the authenticity piece, like I think people are just kind of I think they're burnt out on this like homogenized thing. That's just it's like you go to like master plan communities anywhere in the country and it's like or like shopping centers, where they have like what's the domain?
Hmm.
It's like they have a domain in every major city in
Hmm.
case people don't know that. Like if
Oh
you go
yeah.
to Vegas, if you go to like Chicago, if you go to the suburbs, there's the apartment complex condo thing up top, shopping thing in the bottom, and it's always the same stuff. It's the Nordstrom, it's the Ulta, it's the this, it's the that.
It works.
You're just like creating stamped out things. And it's like, I don't want that. I want the unique, I want to go to the coffee shop that I can only go to when I'm in like the city I'm in. I want
Yeah.
to get the food that I can't get anywhere
Yeah.
else. I don't want to go to fucking Olive Garden.
Yeah.
I want to go to
Hey man, my wife would fight you for those words.
dude. I know some people are like, you're crazy. Unlimited breadsticks. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, there's something, I think the tax credit thing could be great. I would love to see a more thriving film community here. I know,
Well, and that's the underlying tone of my question is I think that will do nothing but prop up the independent artist. If you bring major, at scale, um, folks down into town, I think it does nothing but support the smaller artists. Somebody could probably argue with me and say it's going to push the smaller artists out, and I respect that opinion. And I see that, but at the end of the day, Austin has the local coffee shops,
mhm.
and Austin has the small family businesses and restaurants that have been here
It
forever.
would be great if the way that Austin does support the music industry and the musicians here, if they had, and I don't, maybe they do, and I haven't looked, so apologies if I get this wrong, but if they had like a film side that was also supporting to say like, hey, as an Austin, like if you're an Austin musician, you need healthcare, there's a group that will help you with that.
Yep.
The Austin Health
Right.
Alliance for Musicians,
Ham.
HAM.
Yep.
Same thing. If there's and actually, I just got a boilerplate from them that I'm going to start talking about them more on the show because some musicians actually aren't aware of it. But the Sims
Sims
Foundation is
Foundation.
another one. If you need
Yep.
like mental health issues long term, like if you're trying to just like be the best version of yourself, you're struggling.
Yep.
There are resources out there for you. It would be great if in the same way that it's like the Nexus grant. They're like, there's programs that people will tell you and like show you how to apply for that. It's kind of the same thing. It's like if there was the film version of that where it's like, hey, there's going to be tax credits here how you can apply for them, here's how it's applicable to you.
Right.
Here's like that's the like there's all this taxes are ultimately like a legal thing. And like you get into legal contracts, you need lawyers. Do I need a CPA? Like you just don't know what you don't know. And if
Right.
there was resources for the film side, it would be great because I would love to have the ability to like artists like they'll get a $5,000 grant from Nexus to be able to like produce an album. It would be great to have film credits for people to be able to produce independent film here. That would be awesome. I
Yeah.
would love that. But if it's like, going back to what I was saying earlier, it's like if those things are going to get gobbled up by major studios to make another fucking caped, Crusader,
Yeah.
then it's like I don't want the tax credits going to those things, even though it's like my other point, it supports a lot of people from an economics
Yeah.
perspective. But it's like, can we support the independent guys that are struggling?
Yeah. Well, and you need both. I mean, that's my biggest thing is you need Billy Strings to come to the Moody Center,
Yeah.
right? But you also need some small touring band to go to 310 and also pack that out, and
That
it's
was
just like
actually I had emailed them originally when we were looking for spaces about putting
great
local
room.
sets at 310. And I haven't announced yet, but I'll announce it on the show.
Okay.
Can I do that?
Yeah,
All
please.
right. So we're doing a singer-songwriter roundtable. It's a new format for local sets. We're going to have 4 artists on in a night. Each artist is going to bring in 2 original songs. Um, the artists themselves are also going to join in the conversation. So it's not just myself driving the conversation and just like trying to be goofy and more of like a comedic thing.
Right.
It's going to be more of like a conversation around the music. The artists will be involved. Feedback across the board. We'll go through once around through the 4 artists for the first song, and then back around the horn again. And then all 4 of the artists are meeting behind the scenes to create a new song, completely new, not previously released, that they're going to perform for the first time on the night.
Wow.
Um, that first lineup is Joe James, Scott Strickland, Sydney Ann Conklin, and Caitlin King. All confirmed. It's going to be at Fierce Whiskers Distillery on August 25th. It's a Monday night. We're going to do tickets for that. 100% of the tickets go to the artists. I think they're going to be 20, $25 a piece. I haven't put it together yet. 100% of the ticket sales go to the artists, and then Fierce Whiskers gets the bar. And we'll film it kind of similar style. It'll probably be like a 6 or 7 camera shoot because each of the artists will have a camera on them, and
Right.
I'll drive all that from a board. But it'll be broadcast. We'll do a live broadcast again. We're bringing that
Yeah.
back. But before the final song is played, we're actually going to kill the live broadcast. So the only way to hear the song that they're writing is to be there live.
Oh, okay.
So
Awesome.
I'm still going to record it for them, so they'll have it should
Yeah.
they want it. But
Right. And it's live
we're
on YouTube.
it's gonna be live on YouTube,
Yep.
but if you really want to be in the room,
Mhm.
we're not going to broadcast any of the songs that are written for the show. The only way to hear those is if you're there in person. So that is August 25th at Fierce Whiskers. Again, Cindy Ann Conklin, Caitlin King, Joe James, Scott Strickland. It's going to be awesome. Caitlin's got an amazing. All of the artists I just mentioned are fucking incredible.
Yeah.
All of them are incredible. Caitlin plays keys. So she's going to be on piano. Others are going to be singer, songwriter, guitar.
Okay.
So there would be a really interesting mix. And I can't wait to hear what they're going to create, but it's going to be really a showcase on them, and they're going to drive a lot of the conversation. I'm just going to be more of like working the board.
Congrats, man. That
Thank
sounds
you.
fun.
It was 100% Joe's idea. I can't take credit for it. Joe James is a badass. We had lunch. He brought it up, and I was like, I fucking love this. How do we do this? And we had a follow-up call, and then actually shout out to Robert Parker Jr. He's the one who introduced me to John over at Fierce Whiskers, who was trying to figure out how to do this. So we're gonna do that in the tasting room. So we're gonna clear out the middle, and we're gonna put it all in the middle of the room, and then everyone's gonna sit around the outside of that, and the bar will be open. We'll do drinks before the show, and then once the show starts, we'll have like I think a person quietly walking through to grab drinks, but it's like a true listening experience. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Wow.
That'll be like I said, August 25, which is a Monday at 8 p.m.
Okay. Fierce Whiskers.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how do you go about finding talent? Are you just
Great question, man. Yeah, I think this is probably this gets asked a lot. I don't I it was a lot of word of mouth at
Mhm.
first. First person to come on was JS.
Mhm.
Sydney Ann Conklin was friends of Jay. So she came on second. Somebody from the audience introduced me to the third band. Um, I ran into Dusty at the Sinizo. He was just doing solo work, and it was right after the first show.
Community, man.
Hey man, I'm doing this thing. It's like a podcast Q&A. Would you be interested in coming on? Like, it was kind of that conversation. I'm like, you have a really great voice. I would love to like get your stuff recorded and introduce you to people. And he's like, sure. And so he came on, and then Sydney introduced me to Connor Stevens, also a great singer songwriter. And then Dusty came back. Ryan Power was a friend of, I think, of John's. And then I got introduced to, another guy you should probably interview is Justin Hahn. Justin Hahn is with a group called Music Mixer. He helps put on a night, which is basically, um, it's a very small interview, just like, hey, who are you? What's your name? What's your background? And then they'll
Mhm.
sing 2 songs, and then they'll bring another artist up. And there's usually, I think, 5 or 6 artists on a night. And they're at, I'm blanking on the name of the place. I'm so sorry, dude.
It's
But
alright.
yeah, I met Justin through them. And then one thing kind of led to another. So it was a ton of word of mouth. And then I've had people reach out to us on Instagram, which has been, there's been a lot of bookings that have come from that. But
Okay.
a lot of it's like, hey, my friend has been on the show and told me to reach out to you, that kind of a thing. I do.
Community.
Yeah, it's community, man.
Community.
And the reason, so I've never told this story. And I really hope, um, they don't hate me for saying this, but, Eddie from Revlon, this is a band in San Antonio,
Okay.
spelled Revol, Revlon, something, two N's. Eddie sent me a post of his, and he's like, "Hey man, I would really like to come on the show." And I wasn't in the greatest of moods. Something was going on, and I was just like, "What is this?" And I opened it, and I was like, "I don't know about these guys." And immediately, I just was like, "That's the fucking thing that you don't want to do. That you don't like when people do to you. Like, there's no reason to prejudge him. It's in a bad, dark environment. It's like recorded on a cell phone. Like, why would you like? You would be pissed somebody at you. Don't be that asshole." And immediately I was like, what am I doing? And I sent him a message back. I'd love to have you on the show. And I didn't bother listening to it.
Yeah.
And they came on, and they're one of my favorite bands.
Awesome.
Eddie's amazing. Ken Williams is amazing. He's a guitarist, classically trained jazz guitarist. He's a badass. There's Charlie, Gabe, and Nate on drums. Gabe's on bass, and then Charlie's the other guitarist. Amazing human beings. And I never would have had them on the show if I would have done that thing. So it's like, that's why I don't listen to anyone's music before they come on the show. And they've been on the show twice. I'm trying to get them back on a third time because they're phenomenal. He's like got a voice like what's his name from The Cure? It's like deeper,
Mm.
and he's like he like waves around when he's singing. It's a lot of fun. They're a really fun band. They're all hilarious. Um, but a lot of it's been word of mouth, people reaching out on Instagram. I started getting like random text messages recently from folks, which is kind of unsettling. I don't want my number just like randomly out in the
Yeah.
world, but I'm happy to like chat with people. I've not like ignored anybody. We just had a kid. So I like I have a bunch of people I have to respond back to, and it's like trying to get set up in the new space, plus the child, plus
Mhm.
life. I'm like super laggard on getting back to everybody. So I'm sorry if I haven't talked to you. It's not because I'm ignoring you. I promise I will call you. But
Smart, brother.
yeah, it's been a lot of just like word of mouth and people
Yeah.
just trying to get on, and that seems to have worked. We've had a couple misses, but it's like, I think the shows were still ultimately good, even if like somebody maybe wasn't completely dialed in from like a technical perspective, or they
Mhm.
played a little off key, or they weren't playing in tune.
Yeah.
People get really nervous too when you put a camera in front of them.
Yeah.
And so it's like they're good up until they like get on stage and they see the 2 cameras, and it's like, oh God. And it's like, don't freak out. That's why I keep telling people it's a place of love and support. It's not like American Idol where you're singing in front of a panel of
Yeah, you're
assholes
not
who are
getting
just like
judged here.
cross arm, like,
Mhm.
You better be good. It's like, I want you to be successful. I
Yep.
want the audience to love you. Like, I'm rooting for you 100%. I'm not there to judge you.
Yep.
So that's like a place that hopefully artists know they can bring their best psychological self and like be celebrated for what they're working on, not being judged. We don't need any more poisonous shit in the world, but
I hear that.
that's been kind of how that's been going.
Your thoughts on the term live music capital of the world?
I mean, I'm fine if we have it.
I mean, what
But
do
if
you
I was in Chicago, I would probably be like, I don't know, man. There's a lot of great live music here. I mean, I don't know. It's fine. I don't have a problem with it. Do you think it's another place? Do you think it should be Nashville?
I don't know what the right answer is.
There's so much live music here, man. I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm fine with that moniker.
Yeah.
What would it be otherwise?
Well, I asked the same question to everybody, and everybody has a different answer. And for me,
What did Nico say?
he was on the edge. But for me, you know, w- what's your definition? Like, if you just take it verbatim, live music, it's like, yeah, there's corridors in Austin that have live music, and pretty much anywhere you go, there's going to be a solo acoustic artist up on stage.
Sure.
Some Mexican restaurant,
Yeah.
somewhere. For me, I think about it's an all encompassing term of the community of musicians and all that.
Mm,
You know, that's what it means to me. Where you have a community of people of folks that are involved with live music and truly create a centralized capital for it all.
mhm.
And it's not just the musicians; it's folks like yourself. Again, folks like John who put on concert series. It's the venue owners. It's hell. I went to Luck on the Lawn yesterday at Hotel Magdalena. So
That place is dope.
it is. It's a cool spot. Music Lane is a beautiful development. But Luck out at Willie's place, they have a relationship with Hotel Magdalena, and so they brought a bluegrass band out there last night,
Mm.
and it was just a bunch of families listening to this six-piece bluegrass band, sponsored by one of the biggest concert series in town. I mean, Luck on the Lawn brings in, especially in the country space,
Yeah.
brings in
Right.
everybody. I think freaking Jessica Simpson played there last year, randomly enough. I'm
Dude,
not saying she's country, but what I'm saying is like
well,
they
everyone's
bring
country now. It's
it brings in a lot of star power, and it's all about Willie and his family and his relationship with the city.
mhm.
And I think to me that's what it means is that high level of community. I mean, you look at what guys like him have done um, for the city, and just continue to do for the city, and guys that were involved with the Roman and now they're involved with Sea Boys and Continental Club and just that whole circuit
Yeah.
um, of folks. I mean, I don't know. That's what it means to me. But I don't think there's any right or wrong definition. If you everybody I talk to or everybody that I ask that question to immediately brings up Nashville because you're walking down Broadway. Well, if you would have walked down Sixth Street 20 years ago, it's probably been pretty similar where it's just music everywhere. And still to this day, there's still music all over Sixth Street.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Sixth Street's packed, man. I mean, it's a fun time. Sixth Street's its own weird animal. This
yeah.
would have been a very interesting place to live if I was in my 20s in a different stage of my life. It probably would have been a lot of chaos and fun.
Yeah, I
Um,
lived a little of that. Just, buddy, my sister went to UT and I had friends that went to UT, and so I would come down quite often, and hang out and had plenty of good times on Sixth Street.
Yeah, it's a fun time, man. I mean, I think to your point, I mean, the community around Austin, I think, is what makes it Austin. I don't know if like saying the live music capital would necessarily encapsulate that,
Yeah,
but I think that the community piece is probably the most important. And yeah, to your point, it's like guys like Willie. I mean, like, look what he's done for this place. Or
yeah,
like, I mean, that's ultimately, look, you just want to make a good positive impact on the world. That's all I'm trying to do. And it's like, if we can do that with local sets, then great. I mean, it would be cool to do this show in other cities, but I mean, if we just only did it here and Austin became like this massive scene for artists, then fuck yeah, dude, let's do that. I'm
let's
fine
do
with
it.
that too.
So local sets, find you on YouTube. Do y'all have anything on Spotify?
Yeah, I just got us caught up on all the Spotify posts. So if
Okay.
you go our website, localsetsatx.com, is you can find all of our information. We're on Instagram. I think I've got 4 posts, embarrassingly, on TikTok. So we have like 0 coverage there. I'm also just one guy trying to do all this in my spare time. So be gentle in your criticisms.
Yeah,
But I've got
heard that.
YouTube, Instagram. We're on X. We're on TikTok. We're, I think, a couple of different places. Mainly, we're on YouTube and Instagram.
Cool.
Spotify is getting caught up. I reached out to them to do a live broadcast key,
Mm,
and they won't let me do it, probably because we're not a huge show. But
that's
I
a
can't.
monster right there.
Yeah, I would love that if we could get if I could get Spotify as a sponsor for the show to get us to do like a live broadcast on
Hmm.
there. that would be awesome because I feel like a lot of people are already on Spotify for music, and if we could become like a platform for independent artists within that platform, that
Yeah.
would be awesome for folks. But we can't do a live stream, so that's difficult to do right now. But we will do a live stream for YouTube, uh, and I think Twitch, and then the day after we'll post it on Spotify. So, but go to localsetsatx.com. You can find us all of our stuff there.
Cool.
If you're interested in coming on the show, please send me a DM. You message us on our Local Sets
Okay.
Instagram. I do my best to get back with everybody, and hopefully we can get you plugged in. We've got a backlog of artists. Like I said, I'm trying to get 2 on. We're booked through October right now. That's public, and then we'll release 2026 probably. Start booking for 2026 officially in like a month or two.
All right.
I have too much spillover.
Cool. Well, man, I really appreciate you coming and talking with me today.
Thanks, dude. Sorry I've
Fun.
had too much coffee, but clearly
No,
I sincerely appreciate the
fine,
opportunity
man.
to talk about the show. And this is awesome what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. We'll see you, everybody.
Bye, Will.
Thanks for listening. Know someone we should talk to? Give us a shout on Instagram at Austin Music People. Tell your friends, tell your family, and get out there and support Austin music.